Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me and my very special guest. You know him from such shows as The Book of Mormon, Hair, Something Rotten, and of course, The Genie in Disney's Aladdin. And he has just released his new EP called A Fierce Christmas. Please say hello to Michael James Scott.
Yes, what's going on, Richie Rich? It's so good to see you, Broadway World, all of it. Yes, yes, yes. Hello.
I was going to say, you've got this virtual thing all dialed in with the microphone, the backdrop. Where are you doing this from?
Listen, it's our new normal now, right? It is like the craziest thing. I'm at home. I have found that like the crisp white background is it. So, I have that LA sun. I have a sensible, I have the lighting. So we're good, but I've been doing so many virtual concerts and things that, I can bust out, we could go right into it, Rich. Like let's go,
You can look at you. I've spoken to so many stars and they're all like, Richard, this is my setup. But if you look to the left, it's hoarders. If you look to the right, it's hoarders with all my boxes and my house. Is yours the same?
It's pretty much the same, although I'm a little bit more I like it to be tidy, I like to have some sort of, but I have found my like corner and it is the setup. In the beginning, it was definitely like, if you move this camera an inch over, you're going to be like, what is really going on?
No, because like you said, this is the new now. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, I've got to make a stage or, in my house or my apartment. And it's like, how am I going to do this?
Exactly. And here we are, doing voiceovers and, everything, concerts and benefits and Zoom classes and all the things. And, you have to make it. I am very lucky. My husband is a movie director, a film director. So he has set me up in a very lovely way, in terms of all the stuff,
You've got it all going. The lighting, you've got it all going, my friend.
Yes, well, thank you. Listen, I had to bring it if I'm going Richard Rich now. Come on now, I got to bring it. I got to be on top, ready to go. So,
well, you are, my friend. I have to tell you, we're in our 8th month since the pandemic happened and the New York theater shut down. I mean, how have you been dealing and handling the ongoing shutdown and the pandemic?
Can you believe it? Oh my gosh.
It's December.
I can't actually still wrap my head around it. I mean, the amount of Marco Poloing and like FaceTimes with, a bunch of other Broadway folks who you all I'm sure know, we all are just like, what's going on? Like still, even, it is so crazy to think of. We are truly living in history right now on so many levels, but especially in our community. And as you know this, I said to you right before we even started, it's so lovely to just talk with our community. It's just so good, it's amazing to have that connection again. But that's for me is what has been the biggest thing about this is the idea, the sense of community feels so misplaced and gone, and it's so weird. We are an industry built on togetherness, as you know, and so that energy is really tough virtually. We've had to figure that out, and so for me, I think that's what's really been I am like, I want to kiki on like 9th Avenue, down. Let's go to Yum Yum Bangkok in between shows. Let's have a kiki. I love to socialize. So as you can imagine, my husband is like, I think we need to get through this quarantine so Michael can, because he's literally all of yes, he's all of my friends.
Work 9th Avenue in between a matinee and an evening.
Yes, you know how we strut down 8th and 9th Avenue in between shows. Come on now.
Where were you on March 12th when everything shut down? Where were you?
I was shooting the Tamron Hall show in New York City because I had just gone back into Aladdin on Broadway as the Genie a week and a half before. And so I was actually shooting the Tamron Hall show. We were doing a thing of performance of Friend Like Me. The crazy thing is that Friday it aired. It was like the only thing, leave it to Disney Theatricals to somehow have like the last word, if you will. Like, but we were there. Governor Cuomo was making the announcement. There we were, literally right before we went on. So as you can imagine, it was tough. I had to pull the beautiful, I had my gorgeous ladies, my ensemble ladies who were just everything. They were with me and performing with me. And I was like, let's go over to the corner and let's get it together. Let's all just have this energy together right now. We're going to worry about that after, but we got to do this performance right now. So let's be thankful that we can do this. And this will be our last little, like, see you soon. And who knew, what was happening. I got on a flight that night. My husband came and got me. We got on a flight that night and went back to LA.
Wow. So you left right away.
Left right away. We left right away. We didn't know, it was the scariest thing. I feel like, well, it's interesting. Some therapists say that we, like years, down the road, we actually won't remember this time, like, which is so interesting because I feel like, how can you not remember it? Because we all know exactly how we feel right now. But I know that I feel like we will all remember that feeling of right before, like, March 11th, 12th, 13th, like right there, right? And that's truly, it was just a scary thing. And we knew we were like, we got to get out. We weren't even living we hadn't like moved into a place yet. We were in sort of a temporary space. We were in the middle of Times Square on like the 40th floor, like we were like, what is happening? It was the craziest thing. You felt that energy in the city. It was so crazy. And so we left right away. We were able to get back to our place in LA and thank goodness we could do that and we could be in our space. We didn't know if we weren't be allowed to leave or anything, so we were like, we gotta go. So that's what right in that moment was where I was and what I did.
Well, I have to tell everybody, you just released your new Christmas EP called A Fierce Christmas on all streaming platforms. It is sensational, my friend. I have been dancing around the house, getting ready to put up my Christmas decorations here to your album. How excited are you about this?
I am, oh my goodness. First of all, how in the heck did this happen during the pandemic? I'm like, what I mean? Like, okay. And so I'm just thrilled. I'm a kid on Christmas morning, getting to release this thing into the world of holiday music that I am just obsessed with and have always been. There's one thing I tell you, this year has taught me is the idea of the time is now. Overnight, everything will change, and it has for us. And so, like, if you can figure out how to make it, if you can figure out how to do things virtually and how we have had to pivot this year, I'm like, we're gonna make it work.
How did the album come about? Why did you want to do it? What was this year like for you?
So, as you know, this year has been hard for all of us. Some way or another, we've been affected, some way or another. And there's been a racial awakening. There's been, we are still marching and fighting for equality, diversity, inclusivity, and meanwhile, in the midst of a pandemic. And this came out of the need for me as a protest for joy. I am protesting with joy. That is where this came from. There is, I wanted to show a chocolate face that was different in the news that you've seen. I wanted to show a chocolate face that was not afraid to smile, that was unapologetically chocolate and unapologetically gay and unapologetically in his own light, and that it is okay. I have been so the community, my Broadway community is, as you know, our Broadway community. It is a community of of acceptance, a community of togetherness. And so for me to be able to step out of that community into the world, to have the empowerment to do so, I didn't have an option, really. This year, with everything that's going on, I'm like, Michael, you better put it out there. And so that's what I decided to do. I knew that this, we are so divided right now in our country. And if anything can bring us together, I was like,
it's your Christmas album.
Some fierce holiday music, okay? That is what can bring us together, and that is what I want to do. That is what I am like. That's what I feel my calling is. That is what my heart was saying to do, and so that's why I did it.
It's so uplifting. Talk about who produced this with you, who arranged this with you. I mean, and talk about the songs that are on this album.
Well, it was very easy in the pandemic, first of all.
How did you record it during the pandemic?
Okay, so my husband has been trying to, he's been on a tirade for years. Like, when are you doing an album? This is ridiculous. Like, come on. And so have many other people. But it was really him that was like, we've got to do this, know? And so he actually has a good friend down in Orlando, Florida, my hometown. They have a record label called Scratch 17, and they're a new label, and they took me on. I'm their first artist, which is which was crazy. They hooked me up with an incredible music producer named Chet Gass down there, who did, he worked his magic. And I was really adamant about including my Broadway community and all that. So my single was arranged by the brilliant Jim Abbott, who is, musical supervisor, musical extraordinaire, everything. Yeah. And we have Broadway musicians who record it all live, all remotely. Which is unbelievable. I recorded, and then Jim also played on some other tracks as well. I recorded my vocals down in Orlando, Florida. We had musicians down in Orlando as well record, basically one by one, and then they put it all together. I mean, it is truly a community. It felt good though to kind of have that camaraderie again, and even though it's remotely and it's virtually, it's just to be able to it felt like we were in the room, and doing the thing. So that's
tell our audience the songs that are on this.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So the songs, I went classic. I was like, I'm no stranger to, taking on big shoes to fill a little role like the genie. And so I thought, okay, if I could take on the genie, if I could do all the shows I've done, I'm like, I'm going to take on some classic holiday albums. Most so many actors, they rehearse their Tony speeches, they practice their Oscar speeches, their Emmy speeches. Boo, I have been practicing my holiday album since I was a little chocolate chubby kid. Okay, that is I've known I wanted to do this for so long. I knew I wanted to pay homage to the classics and just put my thing onto them. So I have A Christmas Time Is Here, the old school, made famous in Charlie Brown Christmas. I used to act like I was the chocolate one, little Franklin, when he was dancing around. I was like, and then of course this Christmas, Donny Hathaway's This Christmas, I grew up, that was just the start of Christmas. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, the only song from a musical. Yes, as you know, I'm sure people don't know that, and they're always like, what? I'm like, yes, boo, that's from a musical. Yeah. Okay, and it's the Christmas song of Christmas songs. Then you have I'll Be Home for Christmas and the Christmas song. They all have Christmas in the title.
And it's called Fierce Christmas. I'll tell you, it's a sensational album. It's available on all streaming platforms. So as everyone's getting ready to put up their holiday decorations, you got to download some of Michael's music. It's really sensational. I want to go back to you've done some really great things in your career already. I was looking at some of the roles you've done. Now, you started out in the national tour of Fosse, standing by for Ben Vereen.
Yes, I know. It's crazy.
What did you learn from Ben in that show and Fosse?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was a baby. I mean, I was so young. I mean, I'm still young, but Black don't crack. We know this. So I was really young, and I got the opportunity to be Ben Vereen standby in Fosse in Paris. P.S. So I actually left my college my last semester of my senior year. My credit was the tour. P.S. Which was insane. And Ben literally took me under his wing. He was just like, I mean, I couldn't have asked for better training. P.S. There just that old school way of thinking and way of approaching material. We used to. I love this, and people they don't believe it, but he would have me come to the theater like 3 and 4 hours before the show, and no one would be in the theater, and we would sit on stage and meditate together, go over material. Like, he just was like, let's do this. And so we would just do that. We would talk about life. We would do, all the things. So I can't tell you the invaluable lessons I've learned. I learned about channeling my energy. I have such crazy energy, right? I have a lot of energy, and I learned how to channel my energy with Ben, because he saw himself in me, and he saw this sort of young, energetic, male with trying to figure out what to do with all that energy. So I learned a lot about that. I also learned about being me. He also said the best thing to me that I'm so happy he said, and I tell this to young artists and people all the time. He said to not make theater my life, but make it a part of my life. Yeah. And I didn't, at the time I was like, okay, like I didn't really know what that meant. And as I got older, I realized what that actually meant, and I'm so thankful for it. So it was just the life lessons like that, getting to see him do that. He also, he's old school. He doesn't miss shows. I was his standby. He was like, you're not going to go on. And that's why I love him. I mean, I was like 20 years old. I was a baby. Cut to, my family is in Paris. They're visiting. I'm pleased. They're so excited to see Ben Vereen. It's a legend. It's Ben Vereen. Come on now. And I got summoned to his dressing room. I go to his dressing room, and he said, so you are going to go on for your family. Ben Vereen took the show off. I went on. He was like, you need to do this role. You need to do it. I did the role. He came to the theater, paid for my family's tickets, P.S., and sat with them to watch me in the show. And I when I tell that story, it's still, I haven't hadn't talked about it in a while. But that for me is when you say, what did Ben Vereen teach you? He taught me grace. He taught me all of that. So
that is incredible. I never knew that. I love Ben too, but it's like, wow, that's fabulous. We have to talk about your history with the genie in Disney's Aladdin. My gosh, what a journey you've been on with that, not just here on Broadway, but around the world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Disney theatricals, good Lord, they've been good to me. And they are, Tom Schumacher and Ann Court, that whole team over there, they are so wonderful. P.S. They've been ahead of the diversity casting from the very beginning, which is amazing. Yeah. And so I'm just honored that I got to be a part of the family, and that they trusted me to do this. Casey Nicola and I've done like 5 Broadway shows together, which is crazy. And he really saw me as the he saw. I didn't see myself as a genie. It wasn't even on my radar. It just wasn't at all. I don't know why. It just wasn't. And cut to, it was absolutely life-changing, and a role that taught me way more than I ever thought. I was the original standby on Broadway, and I only stood by because I knew what the future could be. And I also, James Monroe Iglehart and I we're brothers, and we knew of each other for so long. Everyone was like, "Do you know Michael?" And they're like, "Do you know James?" And they're like, well, "I can't handle that y'all don't know each other." So we had known of each other for so long, and we were the only two genies, like, you know. So we were there. I love him so much, and so it was I was like, okay, I can do this. I respect him way too much. And I'm also thinking about the future. So that's how that happened. And then cut to Disney was like, would you open this down in Australia, in Sydney? And there I opened the original company and the Australian company of Aladdin.
Yeah.
I was there for 19 months, which was crazy, life-changing experience. I won the Helpman Award, which is their Tony Award down there, basically. And I mean, I couldn't even imagine it. It was all just crazy, right?
Wow.
And then they were like, come to LA and open it at the Pantages. Okay, now go to London and do it there. And then like do it on Broadway, and then go and then come back now and do it on Broadway. I mean, it's been crazy. And so my little genie journey has taken me all over the world, and I am so blessed about it. My favorite thing is Ann Court at Disney Theatricals, she's vice president of Disney Theatricals, and she she said to me, I told her, I was like, I cannot believe I'm going from London to Louisville, because I also joined the tour. And she was like, well, there's your memoir. It's from London to Louisville. I literally went from London to Louisville. Like, it was the craziest thing. I did a genie there, and a day later I was in Louisville. Like, you ain't never had a friend like me. It's so crazy.
That is fabulous. That's a great title for a book. Like I said, no one does it better than Disney Theatricals. Favorite memory from the Book of Mormon?
Oh gosh, my favorite memory. Oh gosh. Well, I was a part of this very first secret reading of it. So like, I have so many memories. I will say this. My favorite memory was the day Trey Parker came up to me and pulled me aside in the back corner of the room and said, I would like for you, during this run through, to say, I have maggots in my scrotum. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, you're fine with that, right? And I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, one more thing. Don't tell anyone. And I was like, okay. And so I did. And in the run through, as you can imagine, what happened, people lost their minds. It was crazy. So I'll never forget that moment, because it was, to be able to belt that on a Broadway stage and have the last word and it be that. That moment. Isn't that crazy?
I have to ask you got to play Donkey in the musical Shrek at the Muni. What was it like playing the Muni and playing Donkey there?
Have you been to a show there? I'm sure you have, right? So okay. I mean, first of all, the Donkey is the Donkey. So, he's crazy. There's so much going on. So you combine that with 11,000 people, where basically you can be as big as you want to be and it's still not big enough. Yeah. I don't think I work hard as the genie. I don't know if I don't think I've sweated as much as this with that role, but it was unbelievable. The crazy thing about the Muni is that the lights are off, and so you're like, okay, it feels a little bit intimate because you're like, okay. And then at the end of the show, when the lights come up and you look out and you literally see a football stadium of people, it is insane. And I was just a mess. I was running around that stage you really could not get me off the stage. I was such a ham. It was so wonderful. And that was such a brilliant company. It was Stephen Wellham as Shrek, Rob McClure as Lord Farquaad, which was crazy. Julia Murney as Princess Fiona. I mean, it was like such a brilliant company, and Johnny Tartaglia directed it. I mean, you know, it was such a ridiculous group of people, and we were all just fools.
That is wild. We're almost out of time, but I have to ask you about hair because you did hair in New York and in London. Favorite
Yes.
memory of hair?
Oh gosh. Well, I think my favorite thing was the initial shock of being naked on stage, and then it was awesome. But then I was like, yes. And I think my favorite like story out of that is my grandmother and my grandfather, when my grandfather was alive, they came to see the show. And I said, now, Grandma, I was like, now, you know, we get naked, you know, on the thing. And she was like, oh, okay, well, you were born naked. I seen you naked. And I was like, you're right. So it was like this thing, but it was so liberating. It was just so liberating. So it was actually kind of one of my favorite things. My also favorite thing was that was the Summer of Love, and that was also how they marketed the show. It was 2009, and it also happened to be a Summer of Love for me because that's when my husband and I started, you know, like dating, and now we've been together for 11 years and all the things, and we were, you know, so that's also a very special show because it was.
Did he see you in hair? Did he see you in hair before you dated?
He did. Mm-hmm. He saw me in hair. Mm-hmm.
Listen, my final question for you is: what are you the most thankful for this holiday season, and what are you hoping for 2021?
I am most thankful for my my husband, my family, my friends, and this idea of what we've all had to do together. I'm thankful for the community, even as apart as we are, because we've had to really do a pivot. 2020 was the year of the pivot for all of us. So I'm really thankful for that. I'm also thankful for the awakening that has happened. I'm really thankful for it. And as ugly and as hard as it is, I think it was so overdue. And so I'm thankful that happened and that we can grow, that there's grace for growth, that we can really, really explore all of that. I'm looking forward to 2021 and the hope of, you know, our new normal getting back to some of the normalcy that we had before. I'm hopeful, obviously, with these vaccines that we're hearing about, that will bring Broadway back. I mean, 2021, I need to be standing on a Broadway stage again. Like, that is not even, and you know, and you need to be standing on a Broadway stage as well. You know what I mean? Like, we need to be on the Broadway stage doing our thing, you know, and that to me is what I'm hopeful for. I believe that if we can go at the end of this 2020 year with some joy, which is why I did this album. If we can just bring joy into 2021, like at least start it off that way, I think we can be in a better place. So I'm hopeful for that.
I love it. This has been so great. I wanted to catch up with you for the longest time. Your album, the album's called A Fierce Christmas. It's available on all streaming platforms. It's a sensational holiday album. Everybody, stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, and happy holidays to all of you.
Michael, happy holidays.
Great to see you, my friend. Take care.
Good to see you too. Good to see you.